Now we'll start the next chapter, that is equilibrium. Rather, we'll start chemical equilibrium. Now, what is equilibrium? First of all, we need to understand what is equilibrium. Equilibrium represents the state of a process, we can say that, in which the properties like temperature, pressure, concentration, etc., that is of the system, do not show any change due to the passage of time. Alright, that is, the properties becomes constant. Properties like temperature, pressure, concentration, volume, what you can say, that becomes constant due to the passage of time, due to what you can say change in time. This becomes constant. Alright, again I repeat, equilibrium represents the state of the process in which the properties like temperature, pressure, concentration of the system do not show any change, alright, with the passage of time, we can say that. That is called as an equilibrium. That is known as an equilibrium. So equilibrium is basically of two types. We have got physical equilibrium and chemical equilibrium. From the name itself, we can come to know physical equilibrium means I am talking to you about the physical properties of the system which is involved here. If the opposing process involve only physical change, the equilibrium is called a physical equilibrium, we can say that. It's only involves a physical change, we can say that. That is called as a physical equilibrium. If the opposing process involves a chemical change, alright, then the equilibrium is known as the chemical equilibrium, we can say that. That is called as a chemical equilibrium. That is when it, in case of chemical equilibrium, the chemical reactions are involved in it, we can say that. Got it? Chemical reactions which are involved in it, that is called as a chemical equilibrium. Now there are several equilibrium in the physical process. There are several equilibrium. We have got solid liquid equilibrium, we have got liquid gas equilibrium, we have got solid gas equilibrium, we have got what you can say when a solid is dissolved in a particular solvent, when it forms a solution, then we have got a solid solution equilibrium, then we have got a gas solution equilibrium. In this way, different kinds of equilibrium, the physical equilibrium, we are having it. Alright, let me just discuss a little bit about it, what you can say. That is solid liquid equilibrium. For example, what you have done it is that you have taken a bottle, let us say, or a glass jar, you have taken it. You have taken some water in it. Alright, you have taken some water in it. You will add some sugar into it. You will add some salt into it. Alright, so what you will find is that there attains an equilibrium. How we can say it attains an equilibrium? Because when you add some sugar or salt into the water, after some time the solution gets saturated. Alright, after some time the solution gets saturated. Now there what it forms a solution, we can say that. Alright, we can also say this is solid liquid equilibrium, we can also say a solid solution equilibrium also, we can say this particular example is. Alright, so there it forms a solution. Alright, now how can we say an equilibrium is attained? Very simple. That is what we'll do is that we will see that on adding more of sugar. Suppose let us say I am preparing a sugar solution. I'll add sugar to the water. I'll go on adding and I'll go on adding. At a particular point of time, you'll see you will not be able to add more of sugar to it. Why? Because the solution gets saturated. If you will add sugar to it, it remains undissolved at the bottom of that container, at the bottom of the gas jar or the beaker, whatever you have taken it, the bottle, we can say that. It remains undissolved. Correct? Now, how can we say an equilibrium is attained in that particular process? Alright, an equilibrium is attained, we can say that. Now, if you take some, what you can say, sugar crystal, alright, like sugar candy you take it, better, sugar candy. Alright, now you immerse, you tie it up in a thread, the sugar candy, and you immerse it with the help of a glass rod. You take a glass rod in this way, alright, a glass rod, you take it up in this particular manner, and this is your sugar candy, and this is your nothing but a sugar solution, you have taken it. A saturated solution of sugar. Saturated means which cannot dissolve any more of the, what you can say, solute. Which cannot dissolve any more of the solute. Which cannot dissolve. What you will find? You will find that after some time means after a long time. It's not that after 5 or 10 minutes. It's a equilibrium process, a very slow process. Very slow process, mind it. So after some time you will find that some sugar get deposited here. Where from the sugar is coming? Where from the sugar is coming? That is the sugar which I am adding by the help of sugar candy. It does not dissolve in the solution. Of course the reaction takes place. Of course, the reaction is taking place, but it does not dissolve in the solution because already the solution is saturated. It cannot dissolve any more of the solute at a given temperature. Try to understand. It cannot dissolve any more of the solute at a given temperature. Solution is already saturated. Already. So if I am putting the sugar candy with the help of the thread, I am tying it up and I am dipping it in the sugar solution, saturated solution of sugar. What will happen? It will not dissolve. It is not going to, it's not going to dissolve in it. But the reaction is going to take place. That sugar candy is going to dissolve in water and the extra, that is sugar, will be precipitated out. You will be getting it at the bottom. It will settle down at the bottom of the beaker. So this reaction proves that the reaction is also dynamic in nature. Equilibrium reaction is also dynamic, we can say that, in nature. You can do with any other substance and we can prove it, this particular one. Now it can also be shown, the solid liquid equilibrium can also be shown if you take ice and water, we can say that. Ice and water, you take some water and put some ice into it. Alright, put some ice into it. Alright, now water means it should be, ice cooled water, it should be. Alright, it should be an ice cooled water, means water should be at 0 degree centigrade, ice is of course at 0 degree centigrade. Now you put it there. But you will find that the ice does not melt in water. If at all it melts very slowly. Of course it is going to melt, but it is going to melt very slowly. So there exists an equilibrium between solid, that is ice, and liquid, that is water. That is known as solid liquid equilibrium, and the previous example which I gave you, that is also solid liquid equilibrium. Also it comes under solid solution equilibrium because sugar or the salt dissolves in water and forms a solution. Many examples you can give it, like water and copper sulfate I can take it here also and I can give the example. Not instead of sugar candy I can take copper sulfate and I can give the example. Many more examples you can give it in this way. Similarly, that is liquid vapor equilibrium. Liquid vapor equilibrium. For example, you have taken some water, got it, and you are heating it in a closed container. Always remember that equilibrium reaction is to be carried out in a closed container. Why? Because if the product escapes, then how you will attain an equilibrium? An equilibrium reaction is attained when none of the products is allowed to escape. There exists an equilibrium between the reactants and the products. But if it is carried out in a closed vessel and if the product is volatile in nature, means gaseous, it is going to escape, then how equilibrium will be attained? So hence, for that particular reason, it is being said that equilibrium reaction should be carried out in a closed container, should be carried out in a closed vessel. Mind it. Fine. So you will take some liquid water and you will be heating it, alright, in a closed container. But that particular container should be connected by the help of a manometer. Manometer means an apparatus used to measure the pressure of the gas. We can say that. Clear? So initially you will find that when you have taken manometer, means a U-tube containing some mercury present in it. That is, this is a manometer, we can say that. And U-tube does not mean that the net U-tube I am talking to you. It's a U-shaped tube, we can say that. Clear? And here some mercury is being present in it. That is mercury, which is going to measure the pressure. Initially it will be at the same level. The mercury is at the same level. Now after that, when I will connect it by the help of that is a container which contains some liquid present in it. It's a closed container which contains some liquid present in it. Alright, some liquid is there in this particular container. Some liquid is there. Now the gas is going to come out and it is going to push this level. So initially you will find that this level rises. This level is going to fall because the gas means the water vapor which is going to come out from here, it is going to push, and hence this level is going to rise. The mercury in this particular limb is going to rise. This level is going to rise. Alright, definitely, because I am heating the water here, I am heating the water from here. So water turns into water vapor and this vapor now comes through this particular manometer. This is a manometer. Alright, here the readings are there, the markings are being present here. The markings are present. Alright, the readings are present, the markings are present here. So we can record the pressure. Now, initially it will be both the limb, the mercury is at the same height in both the limb. But after that, when the water vapor pushes, then what you will find, this limb comes down and this limb goes up. This goes up. Got it? And hence there is a rise in the level of what you can say mercury in this particular limb. There is a rise in level of mercury in this limb. So when this limb goes up, got it, there is a rise in level. So that means the pressure is increasing because water vapor is pushing. Now after some time you'll find, now when you find this particular one, you stop hitting, you don't hit it further. You stop hitting, you don't hit it further. You will see slowly and slowly this limb is going to come down, again it is going to come down, again it is going to come down. Got it? Again it is going to rise, again it is going to come down. So there you will find, sometimes it is rising, sometimes it is coming. And sometimes rising, sometimes coming. And at a particular, what you can say, condition, you will find that both the, what you can say, the mercury level in one particular limb goes and it becomes constant. Got it? It is going to, what I said, initially it is going to rise up. Then after that it is going to come down when you have stopped heating. Why? Because the water vapor again it condenses back to form liquid water. So pressure is decreasing. So again the mercury, what you can say, level in this particular limb is going to come down. Alright? Clear? It is going to come down. Now what you will find is that an equilibrium reaction is dynamic. Maybe at particular part of the reaction, again the reaction moves in the forward direction. Means some water vapor is being formed. Again the level is going to rise up little bit, not so much, little bit. Again the level is going to fall down. Why? Because again the water vapor condenses back to water. So in this way, rising and falling is going to take place for some time. After a particular time, the level becomes constant. For example, this is the level now. This is constant. That means the reaction has attained equilibrium. You'll find the level does not rise further, neither it, what you can say, falls further. The level becomes constant. Understood? Initially, it's going to rise up. Pressure is increasing. This one. Then after that, when you stop hitting, again it's going to come down. Why? Because the water vapor condenses back to water. The reaction takes place in the backward direction, isn't it? This is liquid. This is your gas. So here, what I have taken the liquid as water, H2O. And the gas as, what is that? Water vapor, H2O gas. So when I am heating it, this happens. When I am cooling it, what is happening? Water vapor, it's turning back to liquid water. At a particular point of time, you'll see that the level becomes constant. Let us say at this level, it becomes constant. What do we say? That the reaction has attained equilibrium, we can say. So all these are the examples of physical equilibria. We can say this is a liquid gas equilibria, so to say. So we have got solid liquid equilibria, liquid gas equilibria, solid gas equilibria. So many types of equilibria we are having it. Got it? Clear? You can take, for solid gas, what you can do is that you can take some sublimable substance. Like you can take iodine, we can take camphor, we can take naphthalene. Got it? You can take it and you can explain it in this particular manner. Got it? You can explain it in this manner. You can explain it. So that is called as, what you can say, that is nothing but equilibrium will be attained. How the equilibrium will be attained? There is a rate of evaporation and there is a rate of solidification. Alright, in case of solid gas equilibria, what you will find is that it is going to evaporate. It is going to change from solid state to gaseous state. For example, you have taken some, what you can say, so that is naphthalene. The naphthalene will change from solid state to gaseous state. That's evaporation, sublimation. Alright, now when again the gaseous one, it's a closed container. Always remember that. Equilibrium means closed container. It cannot escape. Now when the gaseous naphthalene will condense, it is going to solidify again into solid. So reaction will take place in which direction? Backward direction. Initially the reaction was taking place in the forward direction. After that it takes place in the backward direction when the solidification is taking place. So there is equilibrium set up between evaporation forward and solidification backward. Alright, when both the, what you can say, rates are equal, you will find the manometer reading in the same way. You connect it with your manometer here. The manometer reading remains constant at a particular level. It does not rise further, it does not fall further. We can say that. By which we can say that the reaction has attained equilibrium. Alright, so these are many more examples we can have it. By giving so, we can say that the reaction has attained equilibrium. All these I am talking to you about the physical equilibria. Repeatedly I am saying you. It's a physical equilibrium, the physical process, evaporation, sublimation, what you can say, dissolution. All these are nothing but the physical process, we can say that. Clear? Now, the amount of the solid in grams that dissolves in 100 grams of solvent to form a saturated solution at a particular temperature is called the solubility of the solid or in the given solvent at that temperature. Again, I repeat, the amount of solid in grams that dissolves in 100 grams of the solvent to form a saturated solution at a particular temperature. At a particular temperature, remember that. It should be at a constant temperature. is called the solubility of the solid in the given solvent at that temperature. We can say that is called the solubility of solid. In this way, you measure the solubility of solid. You have read it in the lower classes also, how to measure the solubility of solid. We can say that. Clear? Similarly, we can also explain the solubility of gas solution equilibrium, gas solution, on the basis of the Henry's law, which you studied in the what you can say in the first chapter. There is a Henry's law. Once more, let me tell you about it. The mass of the gas dissolved in a given mass of the solvent at any particular temperature is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas above the solvent. Alright, that means in simple words I can say that the mass of the gas dissolved in a given amount of solvent is directly proportional to its pressure. Means more the mass of the gas will be dissolved in a given solvent, more will be the pressure. For example, let us take a cold drink bottle. We can say that. In cold drinks, you know, carbon dioxide gas is dissolved in it. So you allow more of the carbon dioxide gas to dissolve in the, what you can say, in the solvent. So pressure will be more. Alright, you allow more of the carbon dioxide gas to dissolve in the given solvent. In the water, we can say that the pressure will be more, definitely. So that is what the Henry's law says, that is mass is directly proportional to pressure. So M is equal to Kp. K is nothing but the proportionality constant, we can say that. Mass is directly, the mass of the gas will increase, the pressure of the gas is going to increase. Definitely. As I said, you take a cold drink bottle, got it? You take some, what you can say, that is nothing but flavored water, you can say that. Flavored means sweet water, you just take. You pass carbon dioxide gas into it. You pass more and more of carbon dioxide gas into it. Alright, so the mass of the carbon dioxide dissolved in that particular water increases. As the mass increases, what happens? The pressure also increases. Pressure of the carbon dioxide gas which is dissolved in that given solvent also increases. Alright, so here this particular law is called as the Henry's law. Again, you will study in class 12 this particular Henry's law in the solution chapter. You will be getting a chapter which is called the solution. You will be studying in class 12 once again Henry's law, and there the numericals is also there. Here we don't have the numericals. Here theoretically, to make you understand the relationship between the gas and solution equilibrium. The relationship between the gas and solution equilibrium, I gave this particular example to you. Alright, that the mass of the gas dissolved in a given solvent is directly proportional to pressure. That means if pressure is increasing, mass of the gas dissolved also increases. Or in other words, if the mass of the dissolved gas increases, then the pressure also increases. Alright, for that reason, when you open the cold drinks bottle, you find it out that the carbon dioxide comes out with a huge thud. Alright, with a huge thud it comes out, isn't it? Clear? There is what you can say, hissing sound is there and it comes out. You have seen it. Nothing to explain more about it, we can say that. So in this way, that is the mass of the gas dissolved depends directly upon the solvent, we can say that. Directly upon the nature of the solvent also it depends. Got it? That also you will be studying it later on. Now, in this way, if you come to the characteristics, upon studying all these things, if you come to the characteristics of equilibrium, what we can say about the characteristics of equilibrium? That at equilibrium, the observable properties becomes constant. Here we can see the pressure becomes constant. We can say that. Here also, when you pass the carbon dioxide gas, can you pass infinitely any amount of carbon dioxide gas to the particular solution? We can say that? No. Alright, we can pass a certain amount. Beyond that, it is not possible. It is not going to dissolve in it. Alright, beyond a particular amount, it is not going to dissolve in it, definitely. Alright, it will remain in an undissolved manner. Even if you pass the gas is not going to dissolve in it. Understood? It has, when it gets saturated, when the solution becomes saturated. So, during equilibrium, the observable properties like volume, temperature, pressure, they become constant. Equilibrium, what you can say, involves gases, can be attained only in closed vessels. I already said you that whether it is gas or not, you never know what is the product. So always you carry out the equilibrium in a closed vessel. It's better. Because if the product is gaseous, it is going to escape. Then how will you attain equilibrium? Got it? Next is, and equilibrium is dynamic in nature. I have said you already. Equilibrium is dynamic. This particular reaction proves that the equilibrium is always dynamic in nature. Or it never static. Of course, the reaction is very, very slow. Listen carefully. The reaction is very, very slow, an equilibrium reaction. It seems to us that the reaction has stopped. But it has not stopped. It is very, very slow. It is dynamic. Got it? As I said you here, that we will take a saturated solution of sugar and we'll take some sugar candy and we'll put into it, we'll dissolve into it, we'll immerse in the water. You will find some sugar, it settles down. Where from the sugar is coming? Because the excess of sugar which you are putting it in the water, But that reacts with water, it gets dissolved in water, but it does not, the water cannot hold any more solute because already it is saturated. So that extra sugar, it comes out. And this process will continue for any length of time. For any length of time, you go on doing the process, this process will continue. But remember, it is a very, very, very slow process. It seems to us that the reaction is static. It seems to us. Because who is going to wait for that particular time? Isn't it clear? It seems to us, but it is always dynamic in nature. It's not static. It's dynamic. Now, next is, at equilibrium, the concentration of the different substances becomes constant. Definitely. Here the concentration becomes constant. Here the concentration becomes constant, we can say that. Here the concentration becomes constant. But when you are passing the carbon dioxide gas into it, what I said you, once the solution gets saturated, it cannot hold any more of the gas in it. That is what? Concentration becomes constant. Alright, in this way. Now, next is, at equilibrium there exists that is an expression known as the equilibrium constant, which is constant at a particular temperature. That we'll talk later on. That is equilibrium constant. We'll come to another law and I'll say you about it. Now, next is the magnitude of the equilibrium constant presence represents the extent to which the equilibrium is attained. The magnitude of the equilibrium constant, it represents that how much, what you can say, the equilibrium is attained. That means whether the reaction is carried out in the forward direction or the backward direction, or simply is at equilibrium. That we can come to know. That I'll say you later on, as I said you. When I'll teach you another law, then I'll explain these 2 points later on. So these are the different, what you can say, points or the characteristics of the equilibrium process, we can say that. Thank you.